We have the latest on the superintendent shakeup inside of San Diego schools.
Dozens of MTS officers checking trolley passengers for tickets, and it doesn't stop there.
A historic international partnership between the San Diego District Attorney's Office and Mexican leaders to help victims of domestic violence and human trafficking.
Right now, the search is on for a missing Camp Pendleton Marine. We'll tell you what we've learned about his last known whereabouts.
Look at this. Hi, buddy. Oh, my God.
A pod of orcas spotted off the San Diego coast.
Classic rock backed up by the largest open-air organ in the world.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts right now.
Our top story tonight, the San Diego Unified School Board has fired Superintendent Lamont Jackson, citing credible allegations of misconduct. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
And I'm Anna Laurel, in tonight for Carla Chiquetto. Deputy Superintendent Fabiola Bagula immediately becomes acting superintendent of the district. CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes joins us from the district's headquarters in University Heights with the very latest. Kirsten?
Yeah, the San Diego Unified School Board wrapped up their announcement a little less than 2 hours ago. I'm holding in my hand their release saying that the Board of Education and Dr. Lamont Jackson have, quote, mutually agreed that separation is in the best interest of the district, end quote. This after the district opened up their investigation into Jackson in May. Dr. Lamont Jackson started with the district or became superintendent in 2022 after a year as interim superintendent. An independent third party was brought in to investigate and found the allegation of inappropriate conduct toward 2 former employees was found to be credible. Based on that finding, the Board of Education and the superintendent are mutually separating, thanking Dr. Jackson for his leadership.
Allegation of inappropriate conduct toward 2 former employees was found to be credible. Based on that finding, the Board of Education and the superintendent have mutually agreed that separation is in the best interest of the district. Effective immediately, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Fabiola Bagula will be stepping in as acting superintendent.
Superintendent Jackson will receive 6 months severance, according to district communications officials. And Dr. Fabiola Bagula, as you just heard, takes over as superintendent immediately. Reporting for CBS 8, I'm Kirsten Holmes.
Thanks for the very latest on that, Kirsten. This comes just weeks after San Diego Unified was called out by the U.S. Department of Education for failing to properly respond to sexual harassment complaints brought forward by students. The district agreed to a number of steps aimed at improving its response to the complaints, which include reviewing prior complaints to see if further action is needed. That, of course, completely separate from the Dr. Jackson incident.
All right, let's turn now to weather as we head into our Labor Day weekend. Areas across the county are about to see a weekend warm-up.
Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis standing by with how the weather is going to impact your weekend fun. Carlene?
Well, it's going to be really cooperative. We're actually looking at a pretty nice weekend. Now, we've been a little below seasonal with our temperatures, and we're going right back into that range by this weekend. It's not until we get to next week that we start to have hotter temperatures. So when we look at the next 3 days, you have the 70s right there along the coast, and then you're up to 79 degrees. That's going to be on Labor Day on Monday. Now, across the inland valleys, we're also seeing that gradual climb with temperatures. 86 degrees expected for tomorrow. Then you're getting out of those 80s, going right back into those low 90s, which is average for this time of the year across the inland valleys. So we are talking about near seasonal and lots of sunshine for the holiday on Monday. But by next week, it's a different story. Also this weekend, we're looking at a slight chance we could see an isolated shower or storm across the mountains, maybe even for the desert, but it's going to be much hotter by next week. And that's with the area of high pressure bringing in some 90s and triple digits across inland areas, and even talking about the mid 80s for the coast. We'll go ahead and take a look at your complete forecast coming up. Anna.
Carlene, thank you. For the latest weather conditions and alerts on the go, you can download our free CBS 8 app from Google Play or the Apple App Store. Campland on the Bay and Mission Bay RV Resort, 2 of San Diego's waterfront campgrounds, are hosting family-friendly activities throughout this Labor Day weekend. Activities include a bike parade, I love those, giant water slide, dodgeball, a horseshoes tournament, and an outdoor yoga class. At night, guests can also enjoy live music from local tribute bands like Fleetwood Mac and Steel Dawn. That's some cute Cute names,
Yeah,
right?
I like that. Clever play on words there.
The long weekend also means law enforcement will be out in full force.
The California Highway Patrol's maximum enforcement period for the Labor Day weekend took effect just a few moments ago. In fact, that means every available officer will be looking for impaired or distracted drivers. 38 people died in crashes during the holiday weekend last year, and more than 1,000 people were arrested statewide for driving under the influence. The enforcement period runs from 6 o'clock tonight, so just a few minutes ago, through Monday.
And a solemn tribute today to fallen police officer 30-year-old Austin Machitar. Fellow first responders escorted his body from the medical examiner's office to El Camino Mortuary. Fire trucks, ambulances, and law enforcement patrol cars all took part in this procession. Officer Machitar died in a fiery crash this week involving an unlicensed 16-year-old driver. His partner, Zach Martinez, is still in the hospital.
Today, the San Diego doctor charged in connection with Friends actor Matthew Perry's death made his initial appearance in court. Mark Chavez did not enter a plea today, but in a plea deal, he is expected to plead guilty in the coming weeks to one count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine. Authorities say the 54-year-old worked with another doctor to sell ketamine to Perry, who died from an overdose last year. Chavez remains free on bond and has agreed to turn over his medical license. A 21-year-old man convicted of killing two of his friends in a DUI crash has been sentenced to 34 years in prison. Back in June, jurors found Christopher Schmidl guilty of murder and other charges in connection to the crash in April of 2022. Joshua Manzanares and Johnny Punzalan, both 19, were killed. Two other passengers were hurt. Prosecutors say Schmidl was driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol when he crashed his car onto the beach at Torrey Pines after reaching speeds of more than 120 miles an hour.
Tonight, we know the name of the construction worker killed in a trench collapse in Scripps Ranch earlier this week. The medical examiner's office identified him as 27-year-old Joel Gomez. He was in a 20-foot deep trench, installing a large concrete pipe as part of a water system project when the trench collapsed and trapped him. A second worker in the pit during the accident was able to avoid getting trapped. Dozens of MTS officers conducted a special enforcement operation this week at the 32nd Street trolley station in Logan Heights. The purpose of the sweep was to check passengers for fare violations.
But as CBS 8's David Gottfredson explained, some passengers reported being detained for other reasons.
This was the scene Wednesday night at the 32nd Street trolley station in Logan Heights. Dozens of MTS officers, security guards, and San Diego police officers on scene. It's called a special enforcement detail, conducted 2 or 3 times per month at different San Diego trolley stations, aimed at making sure passengers pay their fares. They just check you for a ticket?
Yep.
Did you come out okay?
Yeah.
I noticed some people were getting infraction citations. Others were being detained and told me they were being checked for warrants.
What do you think of this operation?
It's crazy. I guess they're going to catch a lot of people, but it's pretty crazy that there's that much force.
I reached out to MTS, but a spokesperson did not release any details about arrests or citations, emailing me a general statement instead, saying in part, the purpose of the detail is to show high visibility and conduct 100% fare inspection. The goal is to increase safety and create a deterrence of criminal activity.
They are entitled to say, stop for a second, show us your ticket.
Civil rights attorney Gene Iredale took a look at the footage, and he said he had concerns about passengers being detained.
Say, show us your ticket. And if the person displays a ticket, they should be permitted to go on their way without further hindrance. If they are continued to be detained to allow for computer search for warrants, that's an illegal or an unlawful detention.
Iredale said if a passenger ends up getting a citation for not having a ticket, officers are allowed to ask for ID. But on the other hand,
it seems to me to be a terrible waste of public resources and indeed an act of cruelty to punish people for poverty.
when MTS conducted some of these operations at the end of last year, they found about 31% of passengers were not carrying valid tickets. David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
Thanks, David. California lawmakers have voted in favor of a couple bills that would change how you shop and what your kids eat. The first deals with plastic bags. This week, the State Assembly and Senate approved 2 bills that would ban plastic bags from the grocery store checkout. Instead, you'd have to bring your own bags or purchase paper bags at checkout. Both bills require a final vote before heading to Governor Newsom's desk. Meanwhile, the California legislature passed a bill to ban 6 common chemicals that are found in food served in the state's public schools. These 6 different food dyes are found in cereals, ice creams, candy, and other food snacks like Flamin' Hot Cheetos and Twinkies. This would make California the first state to enact such a ban. Governor Newsom has until the end of September to sign this into law. If he does, it takes effect on December 31st of 2027. Petco Park is getting ready to rock out tonight. We'll have those details still ahead.
Plus, what we're learning about a historic partnership between San Diego and Baja California.
And the new information we're learning tonight amid an ongoing search for a missing Camp Pendleton Marine.